Now, practically speaking, you might imagine that when one is removing dams to create an urban whitewater course, your priorities and your methods may differ a fair amount from those removing dams simply to restore connectivity or restore ecosystems or restore fish migration. And in this case, you would be right. Once the dams were removed, they spent a fair amount of time with really heavy equipment in the bed of the river, moving rocks around to create a better whitewater course. I mean, there was obviously plenty of rock here, plenty of shoals that were behind those dams that have been underwater for more than 150 years. So when they removed the dams, it was amazing how shallow the river actually was and how much rock there was here. This is the bottom of what they used to call the falls of the Chattahoochee, that stretched up past West Point, the current West Point, Georgia, probably close to Noonan, Georgia. It's an area of just a lot of drops, and you know, you can use something like Google Earth or something similar and look at what the elevation is of the Chattahoochee River below West Point Dam, and look what it is right here where I am sitting, and that's about 45-mile linear distance between here and there, and the elevation change is almost 400 feet. So just imagine what this area used to look like. It is now all pretty much under large dams once you get north of Columbus. There was already a pretty good whitewater course here, but they could make it a lot better, and they did. And so you kind of look at this chute right here. This is the bottom of the whitewater course where I'm sitting. It's like the grand finale. And you can see that, you know, it looks awfully convenient that most of the river is getting squeezed between that rock and the shoreline right here. Well, that's kind of more by design than by nature. There's another chute over there on the Alabama side that we cannot see from here. It's actually a bit taller and even more of a badass place than what we have over here. You can sort of see the outfall of it with that white left-hand side of the stream there. When they opened this thing, they had whitewater rafters from the Appalachian Mountains come here and run this thing and figure out the right path and all that, and it ate them for lunch. This place is serious whitewater. There are upstream dams from here, so it all depends on how much water they're generating. So at low or no generation, this is just a really pleasant, you know, kind of fun at the very end trip for families. And when they're generating a lot of water, this becomes a class 3 to 5 rapids here that takes a very experienced people to navigate successfully. So when you imagine what might happen here to the fish and the animals when they remove these dams, a lot of times when they remove dams, you do see pretty immediate changes in the fish community and ecosystem functioning, but you wonder what would happen here. Looking a little bit further upstream, and I'm just going to zoom in on it because if I get too close to it you won't be able to hear me. So you might notice that that rock, that kind of very convenient shelf-like looking rock on the left-hand side of the stream there, that's like parallel to the current, that doesn't look quite right. And there's another one that's in the shadow right now over there. You can see it a little better now that I stood up. Look how straight that line is right there, you know, and all the water is going right between there. It does not look natural, and you're 100% right if you don't think it is, because it's not. They literally engineered that. Furthermore, underneath of that is a hydraulic metal shelf that can go up and down that they call the wave shaper. They can actually change how badass that thing is based on the river flows and how they have that. And that's why this area of the river, where I'm standing right now, is an artificial island called Wave Shaper Island. And again, this is the bottom of the whitewater course. So if you're going in with the idea of creating a whitewater course and not necessarily trying to go in and restore ecosystem function, what do you think the effects of that might be on the fish? Well, fortunately, I was hired at one point by the city to try to find out what happened to the fish once these dams came out, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. Here's a closer look at the wave shaper from a slightly different angle. You probably can see now how obviously artificial that is, but still loads of fun for the folks that come through here on rafts, or so I'm told. Behind that you see the 13th Street Bridge that connects downtown Columbus with downtown Phenix City, Alabama. And that's part of the old dam that they left here for historical purposes. Just like over here, which I don't think I actually showed you from afar, this is the old powerhouse that used to be connected to that dam and generated power for the mills, which you can't see from this angle, that are back behind the powerhouse.